the mighty Gloucester Canal. That's where we are here today. I'm with my fellow teammate and Sensas backed angler Rory Jones, and today we're going to be trying to catch some skimmers and bream on the long pole. We are sat on a very good area of the Hempstead Bend on the Gloucester, very well known for the big shoals of bream and skimmers here, but wanted to come here today because we know to get some bites, and the canal was iced over on Monday, so yeah, come here, safe bet shall we say. So got a couple of things to try, some new products as well, so looking forward to what the day is going to bring.
Started today's session by feeding 8 balls of Sensas Lake and Lean. In those 8 balls, put approximately 50 ml of joker and spread them over an area of around about 3 or 4 foot. In the centre of that, I've then potted 3 balls of exactly the same mix but far richer, around about 250 ml of joker, a good sprinkling of dead maggots and some castors, and a little bit of minced worm. The reason I've done that is to allow the bream to come into the peg and mill around the balls of ground bait, picking off a few jokers from the edge, and then in the centre is the majority of the feed, and that's where you're going to present your rig. It's important to make sure that you've got that sweet spot in the middle of the swim, because it just means that any fish that come in are drawn to it, but it also means that the remainder of the shoal can sit elsewhere in the peg, picking off the extra little bits of joker that are in the balls that you potted in initially. I've had a bit of trouble today with fish coming off the bottom. I think the reason for this is simply because they're coming down and sieving the lean. As they're sieving the lean, it's blowing off the bottom, as well as the joker, which is causing the fish to constantly lift up and down in the peg. What this means with bream fishing is that because they're big, high-sided fish, you get lots of indications which can lead to foul-hooked fish, which is a big problem when you're only looking to get a handful of bites on a venue like the Gloucester Canal. The way I've combated this is by potting in balls regularly, sometimes as often as 5 or 10 minutes, even without a fish. It's been important to pot a ball in. This just helps to keep the fish tight on the bottom. Without doing this, the fish are staying in the peg, but they're constantly off the deck, which is making it nearly impossible to catch a fish in the mouth. Some of the bream that I'm catching today are over 4 pounds in weight. They really are big fish, and they're typical of the bream that you catch in this area of the Gloucester Canal. There's another lovely fish here, a good 3 pound, maybe even a little bit more. Misbehaving a little bit in the net. They really are lovely fish, the bream, in this tanker bay. It's got itself wrapped round the line. Possibly 4 pounds. The best hook bait today by far has been a single maggot tipped with 2 and 3 bloodworm. Seems to be that as the bream are coming into the peg, the maggot, being a slightly larger bait, is attracting their eye, whereas a bunch of bloodworm, it seems to take longer to get a bite. I think the bream are in the swim and I think they're eating the joker, but a slightly larger hook bait just stands out better and gives you a better chance of getting a bite. Hooks wise, a size 16 on 011, a nice round bend hook, 8 inches hook length. The reason I'm fishing 8 inches and not 6 inches is because at the moment I'm laying 3 to 4 inches of line on the deck. It's been quite windy here this morning, and it's important to make sure the rig's absolutely static. If the rig's moving around the peg, you've got more chance of foul hooking a bream and far less chance of actually getting a proper bite. The Olivet is sat 16 inches or more above 2 droppers. I fished a double bulk initially, but I've found today that 2 droppers appears to be better than the double bulk. been important to make sure that you lower the rig directly above the feed. Today, lowering the rig slowly has made little difference. I think because of the overnight rain, there's more colour in the canal and the fish aren't following the bait to the bottom. So you're better off lowering the rig in, over the bait, holding it still in position and being patient and waiting for a bite. So one thing that I've always found with the Gloucester Canal is that the more patient you are when you're fishing on this long pole for the bream, the more chance you have of success. And it's important when you start getting indications not to strike too early. You've got to wait for a proper bite. At times you could have a number of bream over the top of your bait and you do get a lot of indications. It's so important to wait for a proper bite because you've got every chance of foul hooking and losing fish in the swim, which will result in slow spouts. I'd be tempted, if I don't get an indication within the next 3 or 4 minutes, to pot another ball of bait in. The top-ups have been rich with joker and a few dead maggots. Not much bigger than a golf ball, but fed regularly. Has just kept the bream in the swim for at least the last hour now. I think we've probably got 7 or 8 good sized bream. There's very few skimmers in this area. Seems to be big bream or little else. But the fishing really has been good. Floats wise, I'm fishing Series 18, which is a nice float. It's got a plastic tip, hollow plastic tip. It sits very nice and stable in the water. It is very important when you're trying to present a static rig that the float is suitable, and you need a slightly thicker bristle, and that's what's offered by the Series 18. Main line's fairly heavy, so 17, and that'll make sure the rig is more rigid in the water and you've got less chance of tangles. An elastic is a single 5 through the full top kit. It cushions the bream nicely on the strike. They don't put up too much of a scrap and you tend to get them in fairly easily with that. I'm getting indications all the time now. There is fish in the peg. There's a nice indication the float's gone. And we've got another bream on. Feels like another good fish. Single 5 really does work nicely. Soft on the strike, but it quickly powers up and allows you to net these bream under your feet. Bream in this bay, I'm told, are caught up to 7 pounds. It really is a big fish, but they don't take too much landing. And a number 5 copes with them quite nicely. You've just got to take your time. You're not trying to catch huge numbers of fish. 8 to 10 fish in this section could be well over 30 pounds and would be enough to score very, very good points in the Sensas challenge. This is probably the best area of the canal. Over recent years, it's been probably the most consistent for nets of bream. In recent matches, the Gloucester angling clubs have had weights in excess of 50 pounds. It's another very nice bream here. This is probably 4 pounds or more. Trying to get itself underneath the keep net. It's an old trick. Here it comes. Lovely. They're in good condition, the bream in this canal.
I've just put another top-up ball in. Had one not too long ago. And I've found as the session's gone on, I've had to refeed, put a top up in after almost every single fish now. They really are queuing up for the bait. Topping up today, I've just been topping up with like a golf ball of the Sweet Fish Meal Magic, which has been really interesting today. I didn't want to come here and fish the lake and leam as I normally would, especially in competitions. It's a very safe way to fish this venue. But yeah, come here today with Sweet Fish Meal and just wanted to get a bit of confidence with fishing it, and just seeing the differences between the two, and the response after putting the two balls in I put in the morning was after 10 minutes. It was really incredible to see how quick the fish had come over the top of it, and I do think that is because Sweet Fish Meal is the aromas of that is a lot stronger than the basic normal natural ground baits, and especially on this bend with the amount of skimmers and bream in this area, it certainly has drawn them in a lot quicker. So today I've just the session started with catching bream, as I said, up 10 minutes in and topping up after every 2 fish basically. And as it's gone on, I found that topping up after everyone's been best with balls rich with joker, dead maggot, casters, and fine. Oh, salad bite then, little indication. Fine chopped dendrobina as well was best. Fishing a maggot and a double bob on the hook. I think we got a lift bite there. It's just lifting up a bit. Just going to give it a bit of time. I've used 014 mainline today on a 011 hook length. No messing about. Size 14 B512, and fished two number 8 droppers and a bulk, just sort of a basic rig fishing over depth. I'm just going to lift that and replace it. I found the bites of today have been really tight over that feed spot. I've not made a carpet today because I haven't fished lake and leam, where I'd expect to make a carpet of around 3 foot in the peg. Today I'm probably looking at about a foot and a half, a really tight area, and the bites really have come right smack on where I've been cupping in the bait. So just trying to keep it as tight as possible, giving it the odd lift out and back in again. And sometimes it's brought quite a fast bite as well, just lifting that bait off the bottom and then representing it on the bottom. Fished a number 5 elastic through the top kit, which is really nice. I set it quite pingy, so I want to set the hook, so I've set it quite pingy and really good strike when it finally does go under. I'm using a new float today. It's called the Sensas Luigi. It's an inline round-bodied float with a 1.2mm hollow bristle, which has been really visible today. This canal can be exceptionally difficult to see bristles on the best of days, and I just think with that hollow bristle, it really does glow it up, and I can just see every single detail on it. It's fantastic. The other important detail about these floats is the fact that they are inline now. We're trying to make most of our inline bodies make the floats inline. Just they're a lot easier to move up and down the line, and don't cause any damage to the main line when you are moving them down. When you have to on this sort of fishing, sometimes you need to be putting 8 inches on, and sometimes you need to go to dead depth, and there's nothing worse than spinning up your line when you move up and down on a normal float. So it's really nice, quick and easy.
We've come to the end of the session on the Gloucester Canal today. It's been a really interesting day. We were a little bit concerned at the start because on Monday the canal was iced over. Both of us have fed at the start, and it's taken around about 20 minutes for Alex to catch his first fish, which is interesting because he'd fed less bait but a stronger mix with it being fish meal. My peg's taken longer to come together, but in the end the fish have settled nicely over the lake and leam. We've both ended up with around 8 to 10 bream each, which would be in excess of £30, and would surely score you good points come March in the Sensas Challenge. I think there's a good chance on this venue this year that it will fish really well. It's later in the year, hopefully it will be mild and we'll all catch a few fish.